The Texas Porch, Texas Talk with a touch of sports. I'm JP Heath. On today's show, I take a fall. Josh can't get enough of my Rangers, and we talk Cowboys. I guarantee that we break down the 2023 draft class with less interest and in no way like anybody else does concerning the former America's team. I am JP Heath. Remember, the Texas Porch is better when you're out here with a friend. Would you be so kind to consider A, subscribing, and 2, sharing with someone that you might think would like it? We're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. Would really appreciate you subscribing to our YouTube channel as we get that one up and going. Come on, the journey with us. And we talk a lot of good stuff today here in the next hour, half hour or so. If it was the next hour, that would not be good for this guy's work schedule. It is the one and only former Texas Sports Writer of the Year, but he could not live up to that billing because he won other awards. Don't call him Harvard. Joshua, how are we doing this fine morning?
I'm good. I liked your promo there about NFL draft coverage that is not good NFL draft coverage. So
yeah,
that's great. That's like, you don't want to set the bar too high, set the bar low, and try to exceed expectations. But I think we're just setting the bar low and going from there.
Lower expectations. When you eliminate expectations, surrender the outcome, you're quite all right, man. I know we text 500 times a day, but week treats you well, gallivanting all across the state, which we'll get to in a bit.
Yeah, it was good. I lose track, but yeah, this weekend I was in Arlington for the weekend. I think we're breaking it down later, so it's all good. Got to catch up with. Not that I don't keep up with family. I mean, half the family's here, and I see them all the time. But other part of the family. So yeah, it was all good getting away for the weekend.
Good. And if you're wondering why, not necessarily you, well, I guess you don't know either, but why I am sleeveless right now, we'll explain that in just a second. But before we really get rolling, I challenged Josh to try to see if he could point out the differences in the background from this week from last. So what I'm going to do is take you off and put me on. Can you point out, it's probably obvious, but it's like that game. I don't know if you know this about newspapers, but they'd have that like, hey, can you spot what's different between this picture and the next? So I think I've got 4 things that are different from last week.
Okay, just admitting that I cheated before here because I was trying to remember Breaking Bad. I know that was different. The Heath sign, had that been there?
It had been in the office, but it had been off over here. So yeah, okay. That's 2.
Is the picture in the background the Cowboys picture? Had that been there?
Yeah, that's Rayfield Wright. That's a staple. That's a story to be told at a later date, a time of my choosing. That had been there, but right above the noggin. Can you see?
Okay, yeah, the Astros Cup was the next thing I was going to say.
Yeah,
why'd you get an Astros Cup in there? Was that from our trip?
I just thought, I got to spread out the Texas love. I mean, I've let things go in my life. Might as well, hey, we're a Texas podcast. Might as well throw that on there. Can you spot the last thing? This is a hockey pod. Can you pick anything out?
Is there something?
It's a Stars Cup.
Okay. I can't. It's like my side isn't as good as it used to be. It's like a black with the green on it. So
yeah,
I couldn't tell. I was gonna say the stupid vest, but I think the vest has been there.
Yeah, that's been a couple weeks, and that ain't going anywhere, sir. That ain't going anywhere. Okay. All right. A couple quick things. This has started the show. Okay. That's ramping up. This is starting the show. Meant to post this the last couple of weeks, but we are one to talk about our favorite barbecue spots because I had a barbecue update. I went to Blood Brothers just down from the day job at Old Institute Rice U, and consistently ranked as, when Texas Monthly has done it the last, I guess they do it every other year, the top barbecue spots in Texas. Went with old buddy Daniel, And he bought, so it tasted all the better when somebody else buys a lunch. Like we will with each other every now and then in the third-rate taco joint. But this is not third-rate. This is first-rate Texas barbecue. And Blood Brothers, I encourage anybody to go and research their story. They've been there a few years. They are friends. I don't know, it seems, not trying to put myself in the same Texas category, but the same type of motivation, friendship, and just that bond, and it led to their product here. And it's very eclectic, and it has it's got Asian infused, I guess, inspirations with the meat and everything. And I always tell people, when I'm telling people, recommending different foods, like I couldn't tell you, like Podcast Paul could, oh, this is smoked at this, and this is this kind of tree, but it is amazing. So that's for two people. That's not just what I ate, Josh. So that's some sliced brisket, some turkey, and the jalapeno cheddar sausage. And it's just got that good Asian kick and that Asian zing to it. And also had some sides. It is not a barbecue trip if I don't try out your mac and cheese. You should be insulted if I come to your barbecue operation and don't try your mac and cheese. But they had really good mac and cheese, and they had up here, they had a fried rice with brisket. That was worth the trip alone. And the only problem with it is that it's so close to where I spend most of my working hours during the week, a few days a week. So I got a problem. I'm going to be going there quite a bit, but it was pretty amazing to have. That's another story. Pretty amazing to get some good grub like that. It just got a good vibe, and could not recommend it anymore to go to Blood Brothers Barbecue there in Big Houston. So another thing that happened since our last recording is I took a bit of a spill. Now, do you remember me telling you the story about falling outside Bob's condo?
I do, yeah.
Okay. Hey. Well, I've got this scar. Oh my gosh, I'm going to fall down again. You see, I don't mind risking it. You see that scar on my knee? Does that show up?
Not really.
Dang it.
Okay, yeah, it does. I see it now.
Okay. Yes, you had to bend it. I'm flexible for a big man, like Texas high school football Hall of Fame coach Steve Lineweaver told me when I was in high school. So I fell. Two of my most recent hard falls. A few years ago, I fell at the press box. I misjudged a step and dang near broke my whole body, stopping my with my hands. And this might have been during basketball season, my favorite pair of jeans. I'm not a big jeans wearer. It takes a lot of work. Another side conversation. But I fell outside trying to avoid this puddle, and I saw a secret like mudslide and fell right down on my left knee, and it ripped up my jeans. And it hurt like the Dickens. It hurt really bad. And scarred it up, and it took, I'm telling you, my knee actually hurt. I thought it was broken at first, but anyway, so I fall. So the other day, I am getting my morning steps in. I got a great new routine, trying to be less JP and more life. But I go and we have a school near, you've been to the house a couple of times. So we have a school in our little community, not too uncommon across Texas. And it's school time, so there are a lot of kids on the sidewalk. They're going to school. But it's also like a construction zone. So there's a lot of the red dirt and mud forming, and it rained really hard the night before. And I had navigated, and this is at the back few minutes of my walk. I'd say, the last half of my walk. And so many kids were coming by. I'm like, I'm going to get out of their way just because it's awkward to stop. And the sidewalk's big enough to handle everybody, but they're driving bikes, and they got parents and brothers and sisters all linking arms. I'm like, I'm going to do the right thing. I have nothing to do with school traffic, so I'm going to step out of the way. The problem was similar to the fall at Bob's house. I slip a little bit first. I go like this, and then I catch myself. The next time, I go, oh, fall a little bit again, but then I bit it. I slid on the, here you go. Oops. Here you go, Josh. I slid on the water, the turf or whatever, the grass, and just bit it. And this does not do justice to how bad it actually was, but my whole right leg, and I had a big glove of mud on my right hand. But I'm proud to say that I finished the walk. And I later, by the way, visual aid here. If you're podcast only, we've got this on the stream and I'll tweet it out. But yeah, then I went back to survey the damage a few days later. Might be hard to tell from the angle you're at, but it had caked over then. If I had walked at this time, it wouldn't have been a problem whatsoever. But yeah, I always feel extra. Maybe that's human nature. I just always feel extra silly when I take a fall like that. But I think that's natural.
Okay, a couple questions. I've got to have the journalist in me. Okay, obviously you're around a ton of kids. Do the kids see you and laugh? Do they see you and worry? Or are they so oblivious they don't even see you?
The last one. They're oblivious because, thankfully, I'm walking away from the kids going to school.
Okay.
So nobody saw me. And that's the other thing. You look up, you're like, okay, other cars. And there's a lot of traffic in this like main thoroughfare of our subdivision here. And nobody saw me. Thank goodness.
Well, that ruins part of the story. That would have been the fun part. I just thought that in my mind, I was like, you're in the middle of all these kids, like everybody's looking on and they get to witness this fall. And then the follow-up would be, if they do notice it, because I know how oblivious kids can be, even if you did it right in front of them. I've got kids of my own. I could probably fall somewhere and they wouldn't have even seen me until later. But if they actually see you, then if they laugh, then that means you're not old yet. But if they start worrying and like going and checking on you, that means you are old, because it means they're concerned for your health. But if you're young enough that you just get up and they don't say anything, then you know you're not officially old yet.
Okay, good. I'll think about that when my next fall comes. That's the problem, is you don't know when it's going to come. They just always sneak up on you. I did see, I don't know if this was karma. I think it was a couple days before I was driving down this is really funny. Falls are funny. I'm driving down to go to the workout establishment again. See these guns, folks. They're changing, folks. Explain why I have sleeves. Don't have sleeves in a second. So I'm driving to the workout place, and this woman, it's like a small general store, like hardware store, and I'm on the feeder, access feeder. That's a whole other term. And she's on her bike, and she just bites it. Like she gets the wobble wheel and just slams down on her right side. But it was like, I'm going 50. I couldn't stop. And because that's one way, I couldn't stop and come around and say, hey, madam, are you okay? But I kind of laughed a little. So I think this was the comeuppance. My fall here. This was the comeuppance that I deserved, I think, because I had mud pants, but I did finish the walk, though. That's what a problem. I said that's what I was proud of, is that I did endeavor to persevere, and I finished the walk.
Well, that's probably the more embarrassing part is finishing the walk when you might be walking by somebody else that's walking, and it's obvious that you've got that on your leg, and they're like, boy, look at this doofus. He couldn't make a walk without falling down. So, yeah, that'd be the better part of it.
All right, real quick, because I got out of time in my mud story. You took a bit of a road trip. You just keep rubbing it in my face. You went up to the greatness of Globe Life Field. You and the fam and your diehard Yankees Astros fans go to a Ranger game.
Yeah, it was actually what we've usually done now is we're old enough to where, actual things for presents kind of get forgotten. I mean, we still do that plenty, but for birthday, Christmas stuff, we like getting like trips that we can all go on, all enjoy. It's kind of fun, predominantly with my dad, but for the birthdays, we do them all at one time. So we surprised them. This is mainly a Cody. Cody's my brother. A surprise for him because he's a Yankee fan, and they were playing.
He's the guy. Yeah, he's the guy in the Yankees hat.
Yeah, he's the guy in the back with the Yankees hat. For those watching,
big fan of the show. He texts me randomly, "Hey, keep up the good work." It's one of his favorite podcasts. So be like Cody, not like being a Yankees fan, but being a diehard fan of the pod.
Yeah. So we got Yankees were playing there in Arlington this weekend, so we surprised them with tickets to go to that. So. I went and stayed with my sister on Saturday night, and they met us up there at the game on Sunday. And not just a ton of great stories from the game, other than Cody is his first Yankee game in forever because, they come here every once in a while when they're in Houston. Then, that's a big fiasco now with everybody, and it's the most expensive ticket around. So in Arlington, it's a little bit cheaper because they're not quite the rivals that they currently are. So his first game in forever. And then we are 15 minutes into the game, and I forget who it was that hit it. Rangers hit a grand slam. So it's just immediately like over. And 15-2 is the final. My second game this year, Rangers have won both of them by 13 runs. So
way to go. Keep it up.
But to Cody's credit, he stayed there through the whole game. We even offered, if you want to go, we can. He said, no, I haven't been to one in forever. I'm staying for the whole thing. So, yeah, wow. His birthday present was watching his Yankees lose by 13 runs. So,
oh my gosh,
I think everybody is a winner in that situation, despite everything. We there was one really short story I can tell you. I was walking out. I wore my Astros hat. I was wondering if I should wear my Astros hat to a Yankees Rangers game. And I
was going to call you out on that, but fans do that. I see that every level of sports I go to. You just see sports gear, so it's not that weird anymore.
Well, first off, I didn't have much of an option because I didn't plan really well. I didn't realize because the Astros always shut their roof, and the Rangers don't. So that was the only cap I had with me was an Astros one, and I can't go capless. I'm not buying a Ranger hat. I'm not buying something else. So I was pretty much decided that I was either going to borrow a hat or I was going to wear one in, and I was going to judge it by what my dad wore. And my dad shows up in a full Alex Bregman jersey and hat. And so at that point, I've got to wear it because I can't let him go solo with it. But anyway, I'm walking up at the end of the game, and there's somebody else with an Astros hat up there. And he stops me and he says, "Hey, it's always nice to come watch your children play baseball, isn't it?" So I thought that was a pretty good line from the Yankees-Ranger game.
Good. Well done. Yeah. If you didn't hear last week's episode, Josh's dad and Mike Scott have the same exact birthday. Or was that 2 weeks ago? But I know they have a similar. All right, Josh, you ready for another wardrobe change? Because it's time.
Are you just putting this on top of each other, or are you just
Well, I'm going to spare the massive audience we have watching in now of me changing out of this. So it'll be like 20 seconds. So talk about the Jacob deGrom injury, and I'll be right back.
Yeah, well, I was glad you're getting out of there, so it's not that kind of podcast. But Jacob deGrom, you're going to have to go into more detail than me, but I was watching a replay of it last week, and I see him about the fifth inning, he's dealing against the Yankees, and then he just goes out, and you can look at his face and see undefeated. And he hasn't been back yet. He's out for a couple weeks.
Okay. Yeah, whatever you
So
say.
now you're back.
There you go. Had to get the Cowboy shirt on. This has organically become a show of the wardrobe change. And we got to talk our Cowboys coming up here. So I don't know if you heard, Josh, but they had the NFL draft this past weekend, and the Cowboys had a very, very blah and boring draft. Aren't those the best? It's not enough that folks try to pretend like they know what they're talking about, because nobody really knows. The experts don't really know. And how do we know that? Well, because if you're lucky, out of the 7 picks, 3 of them will be consistent starters or heavy contributors in the 2 deep. So a life motto, a sports motto, nobody knows nothing all the time. And when you think you don't know nothing, that means you know even more nothing than you thought. Okay, to paraphrase our great late friend, John Outlaw. So I liked the Cowboys draft from the sense it was boring, but they addressed needs. In the first round, they picked Mozzie Smith, defensive tackle out of Michigan. I don't know if you saw Micah Parsons was really happy about that. In the second round, they got another Michigan guy. And basically, by the way, for Smith, defensive tackle, Bruce Feldman had him, I heard, as the number one freak. He rates all of the just God's gift to athleticism each year. And number one was Smith. And he not much of a sack guy. He's not going to be much on the pass rush, but great run defender to free up Parsons and the rest of the defense to make plays on the outside. I guess the inside too, but they stuck another Michigan man, Luke Schoonmaker, a tight end. The one surprise I had was that they didn't go tight end in the first round because Michael Mayer there from Notre Dame was up for grabs. Again, I'm just reciting what the pundits and experts were saying. I'm not breaking down Michael Mayer versus Luke Schoonmaker film. But I'm glad they addressed tight end because they lost Dak's safety blanket in Dalton Schultz. In the third round, and here's where the Texas ties begin. They drafted Demarion Overshone, a linebacker from Texas. Saw him, was that 2 seasons ago? You didn't come on that trip. You came on another Texas trip with me, but Overshone from ARP. And that's cool to have an East Texas guy that played his college ball in the state stay with the Cowboys. But you saw more Texas games this year than me. Anything to get excited about there, and any other draft thoughts? You somewhat of a draft expert.
Well, Overshone, I mean, I liked him as a Longhorn. I'm the worst on seeing guys and saying, "Oh yeah, this is a draft," because I have no idea what NFL teams particularly looking for. Like I see them, like, man, they're awesome, and then they're nothing in college. I mean, dating back several years ago, you could tell, like a Tim Tebow, you knew he wasn't going to work out in the NFL just because, you got to be able to throw in the NFL. But guys like him, long way of saying I have no idea, but he was really good at Texas, and a high energy type guy, so I assume he'll be fine. But if you're asking me how that translates, then I've got no idea. The one thing you said, the kind of anonymous draft for the Cowboys, it seems like for the Cowboys, that's always when they're better. Like when they go out and make the big splash of trying to get a running back or whatever, it eventually comes back to bite them. So getting needs and what they did, without knowing just a ton, I would say that's probably the better way to go. Just whenever they keep Jerry Jones away from himself to get some big star for some position that Cowboys don't actually need, then then and just looking at it, obviously not studying it like a million people do, I like it. That's my in-depth analysis there.
Yeah, I think the thought with Overshone is that he'll be on special teams and be able to work his way in. Leighton Vander Esch had a much better season last year, but I don't think he's an even switch. But I think they think Overshone will be a special teams guy. In the fourth round, they went out to San Jose to take their second Fehoko of the team. They're not related. They've got a guard named Fehoko on there too that was kind of their last guard rotating in. But Valami Fehoko, defensive end. Then they go Asim Richards, a tackle, North Carolina. I don't like waiting till the fifth round to get your tackle because Tyron Smith's going to give you 6 games out of 17, maybe 8 if you're lucky. So why don't you address that higher? That's the one thing I would like maybe to have seen more, even than a tight end, because I think the tackle need was more than the tight end need when they drafted. So if they could have flipped that, that's what I'd have done. But again, I know nothing. Also, in round 6, a guy I saw play rather well last year in the big Mobile Bowl, Eric Scott Jr., cornerback from Southern Miss. I remember prepping for him coming in. It's not going to be the same perhaps going up a level, but a guy that you immediately see and okay, he doesn't belong here. He needs to be playing where you get paid, and really could take apart an offense's game plan. And small school guy, and he's got that fight. And that's a position that can make the transition up to playing with the big boys and having obviously a lot of speed and good coverability. And the Cowboys, you remember Bland, blanking on his first name now, but Bland last year rotated in, and he was a later round draft pick. Could have been a free agent. No, he was drafted last year. He rotated in the past. Corners, you can plug them in from the free agent in the late round draft pick. So I think he stands a good chance at making the team. And another guy actually saw play with a Texas connection, Deuce Vaughn. Very lovable, huggable, everybody's favorite Kansas State Wildcat. And before, not this past recently completed season, but the one before, he was in the Texas Bowl. And I was doing sidelines for the national radio broadcast and actually got to interview him after the game. If you'd think I would go and look up the stats he had from that game, but I guess I was kind of me focused. I thought about interviewing him, and he's from Round Rock, and I was thinking, okay, what can I say to him? Because this is all like you're trying to plan it in like how it goes in those scrums. You're trying to think of what to say in like a 30, 45. You might have a couple minutes to think about what you're going to say. So Kansas State is gleeful. They're like, and I'm talking to their media people, hey, can I get Deuce? And I talk to Deuce Vaughn, and I say something to the effect. One of my questions is, Deuce, you're a native Texan, and as George Strait said, take me back to Texas, and you came and you dominated this Texas Bowl. What do you think? Da, 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 da. He goes, that's an outstanding question, JP, the best one I've ever gotten. No. But remember him being elated, like everybody that likes to poke fun at the smaller bowl games. They were excited to win that Texas Bowl. Who wouldn't? Texas Bowl, probably the greatest bowl there ever has been. But anyway, this brings us to crap. Josh, why did you make me lose my spot? It was the heartwarming tale of the draft, and even calloused heart Havard liked this. So the backstory is Deuce Vaughn's dad is a scout for the Cowboys, and Jerry Jones and Will McClay, by the way, shout out to the former Rice Owl. When the Cowboys do have a good draft, it is a good one. Can you tell I'm struggling here? Because there we go. All right, here is.
This is so special.
The call. They let Deuce's dad, Chris, call Deuce from the Cowboys war room.
Hey, buddy. How's it going? Hey, it's going good. This is Dad. My phone wasn't working. Look at here, man. You want to come to work with me next week? I wouldn't mind that. I got somebody want to speak to you.
I don't know when I've been speaking for everybody that's really in the heart of the Dallas Cowboys is standing here with a tear in our eye. We're so happy to have you on the Dallas Cowboys.
I can't thank you enough.
Well, what I really want to say, you earned every ounce of me being able to make this call. I'm so excited. There's just something magical about this moment that may be bigger than we even realize here talking to you on the phone. But you is now a Dallas Cowboy. Your daddy just handed the card in right here.
Yes, sir.
It's got him on it. Congratulations.
Hey, Deuce, Mike McCarthy, congratulations.
What's up, Coach? I appreciate it.
I'll tell you what, I've been doing this a long time. This is so special for you and your father and your family. If you could make sure you drive, so make sure your dad's on time for work. We'd appreciate it.
I can do that.
Deuce, man, congratulations. One of the coolest things I've ever seen in football was your dad making that call.
So yeah, that each time I've watched that, I get a little dusty in the eye. That is a cool, really cool thing. Cowboys did it right there. I think it's a position they definitely need, but I don't see Vaughn to completely. I don't think he's the back they would need because you're getting rid of Zeke Elliott. Why did I go there immediately? Why didn't I just let it sit there? Why does me wearing this dumb shirt make me immediately think, yeah, that's all well and good, but I don't know if Tony Pollard has enough help still. So anyway.
You're treating it like 95% of the sports world treats it. Like it, you can let the story go on its own. But yeah, you're probably correct. Although I saw a ton of him there. I mean, he's that tiny, really fast back that, I think you're probably right that he's not really a compliment to Pollard because they're kind of the same type of guy. Obviously, Pollard's much more accomplished, but yeah, that was great. I think I came across that at some point, and it was just really cool hearing specifically the emotion on his dad's voice whenever you could hear him talking.
Could you
imagine? Me, whenever Jerry Jones gets on there, makes me think that he practiced that like 20 times to make sure it sounded good for him. But yeah, the initial one with his dad and him, I just can't imagine being in that type of situation and getting to share that news.
All right. So to be fair, we've had our
Kyler Murray, Jose Altuve.
So now do we have, if he makes the team, to be fair, and this tells you, hey, I'm transparent. Do we have a
Deuce Vaughn? Hey, everybody.
It's got to be, right?
The thing is, he's got to be relevant enough to actually use it. So I guess we'll have to see, because I don't think he used that for the guy that returned a punt 7 yards. He's got to be like at least the 10 carry a game top guy. That's probably a stretch at this point.
Yeah, at the best, you're hoping if he's Darren Sproles type of impact. You would love that. That'd be great. But I don't see him clip this in 5 years when he's all pro. But I don't see him as
It's the position that you really, really don't know, because everybody always says you can get a running back in the late rounds. Well, yeah, you can, and everybody tries, but you don't know which running back it's going to be. So it very well could be him. It could be some undrafted free agent that they have that nobody's heard of that carried the ball 7 times in college. So I think to say that we know who's going to be the running back eventually, we're trying to take credit for stuff that we really don't know about. But I mean, he's there.
Yeah, going to be Pollard, but I don't know if Pollard can hold up a whole season, but already over time now. But, and also should have mentioned this at the start. We are having a Texans draft, at least effort to get some Texans draft stuff out there too, coming up here in our next episode. If you're listening on the pod, it's probably already in your phone right now, but there were some other notable Texas connections. Bijan Robinson went to the Falcons. And I wasn't surprised he went as early as he did. Max, this is going to sound funny. Max Duggan got drafted, but who did he go to? This doesn't sound like a very good source.
You're asking the wrong person. I had no idea he got drafted.
I think so, right?
Surely he did. Now, this is good podcasting right here.
Also, while you're up, also look up the highest Aggie that got drafted too. I should have put you on the assignment earlier.
Los Angeles picked Max Duggan.
What round?
You
know what? Screw it. This is all getting edited out of the podcast anyway. So
yeah, it's probably a good idea because I don't even see what round.
All right, Josh. Now it's time. This week in Texas sports and history. May 3rd, 1968, surgeon Denton Cooley and his associates down at St. Luke's Hospital performed the first heart transplant in the United States. The patient was Everett Thomas. Lived for 204 days with the heart donated from a 15-year-old girl. Texas physicians and scientists made numerous contributions to the field of human heart transplantation. Two Houston surgeons, Cooley and Michael E. DeBakey, have been in the forefront developing heart surgery, heart transplantation. And do you remember the East Texas tie? There was a Diboll woman that was somehow related to my wife. There's some kind of shirt tail connection or mother-in-law Betty, a frequent viewer / listener of the podcast, that helped one of those doctors. So again, this continues the theme. I'm really on top of this issue, but that's what I'd heard only the last 20 years or so, but I can't remember it at the time.
I'm on top of this subject just as much as I was on Max Duggan, who was picked in the 7th round. I have nothing to add to this other story either.
So not the 6th.
I'm glad now in the 7th round. Yeah. Glad you have me on here to clarify things like this.
Yeah, we're on top of it.
Yeah, now we're on Texas history. Maybe you throw some more stuff out at me from 1830 Texas.
All right. Shout out Podcast Lamar celebrates his birthday. We haven't heard from Lamar since season 1. And you've actually never met Podcast Lamar in person, but I had some fajitas with them a few months ago at El Tiempo in Houston. So yeah, we need to make that happen coming up. Also, did you know May 6th of 1990 that
Jose Altuve was born?
legendary Houston Astro, will he go down as one of the
4.
greatest Astros in team history?
Yeah, I think so. Bagwell, Joe, Nolan Ryan. Altuve's kind of the face of current. I mean, there's going to be debate about whoever, but yeah, I would say, yeah, he's the most recognizable face of this recent run.
Happy birthday to me. I'm Jose Altuve.
A great Cowboy, also same birthday, May 6, 1982. Jason Witten, born in Elizabethton, Tennessee. At Jason Witten, he's a lunch pail type of guy. No, the greatest all-time Cowboys tight end. He turns, what'll that be, 41 years young. Did you know this week, Texas sports, Josh Hamilton went 5 for 5 with 4 homers, 8 ribbies against the Orioles at Camden Yards. That's one of your, for me, that's one of the where were you moments. I was calling a baseball game between Rice and Stephen F. Austin that night. And I forget if it was the age where you could watch stuff on your phone or just hear about it or can watch it on your tablet, I'm sure. But man, that's just one of those. And hearing that highlight of Dave Barnett over and over again, that was a big night. And May 8th, 1958, Illinois coach Lovie Smith was born in Gladewater, Texas, one of the great all-time football minds out of the state of Texas, the great Lovie Smith. All right, Josh, we did enough damage for today. Our on the scene hot tepid takes, actually, and breaking down, definitely breaking down the Cowboys draft like nobody else. No one else had a draft recap like this.
Nobody can break it down like us. Us and TCU quarterbacks and everybody else were right on top of it. So I hope it could lead to bigger jobs. Like Jerry Jones might be listening and thinking, man, this is somebody that I could really not listen to and do what I want to do. So we might get a job.
I'm for it. That's kind of, you hit on it. I don't know if you remember, but that's basically the genesis of the podcast. Surely you're about to start of I met Rayfield Wright once. And I don't know if you remember that story, but we'll tell that at a time soon to come. But all right, Josh, when you go over time, you got to pay the podcast, man. And I think we have entertained folks enough on this Texas day. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you soon. And go Rangers.
Go Astros.
All right. That's Josh. I'm JP. I appreciate you all for tuning in. Have a great rest of this day. God bless you. God bless Texas. We'll talk to you next time out here on the Texas Porch.
Happy birthday!
Go Cowboys.